Hello everyone, Kenty Tiger here with Bengali Engineering in Play. We are back in Space Engineers. We are continuing on with the building of the upside down battleship. Let's turn the battleship over. So what we did on the last video was create some ports where we can paste down these anti-missile turrets, and sorry, still having some cough issues for some reason. So what I thought I would do is go ahead and get a few of these placed down. So this one is the outer edge one, which is on the bottom but not on the top, because on the top I have a connector. So we'll go ahead and put those in there. Those are going to do some of their things. This one, arbitrarily, I'm going to face aft. Or sorry, that's facing forward, excuse me. Which happen to be the only two on the bottom. And then we'll focus on putting the rest of these in. So this one here is the connector, so I can't do anything there. We'll face this one forward. And then these guys, I'm going to face all of them aft. Make sure these are swiveled. Yep, swiveled out the right way there. So those are the 8 that are now on the aft portion here. Now, one of the things that... How much is enough? So we have a considerable amount of forward thrust. We have a considerable amount of braking thrust. They're not equal, so we have 28 forward thrust, which means we have 28 that are facing aft. So we have 14 per side. There's 7 per row here. So 28, this would be 30, 32, 34, and 36 forward, which is quite a bit. Then we have 8 and 8, which is 16, plus 4, which is 20, plus 4, which is 24 braking thrust. So forward and backwards we actually have quite a bit. Side to side we have 6 per side, which isn't that much, especially comparative to the others. But if I consider my up and down, we have effectively 10 up and 10 down. So we actually have more up and down thrust than we do side thrust, which may be a good thing. So proportionally, I don't think there would be any real benefit to chopping things up and putting more large thrusters through this tail section. So I think we're going to leave it as is. So the only other thing that I need to do is get to a control panel. Which is right here, and then configure these new turrets. So the first thing I'm going to do, let me go ahead and unhide everything. We'll global select, which was the control A. We'll do a me, which will transfer and ensure that I am indeed the owner. We'll turn off the hidden. Then we'll roll down to these. Oh, so I need to put the new batteries into the battery group. So we have batteries forward, aft, and then batteries. So you know what? I'm going to collapse all these down. I don't think there's any reason to have multiple batteries. So let me get this in here first. So those batteries now are into the battery group. All right, so highlighting all 4 of these, we're going to turn them on the terminal. It's going to take a moment because there are a lot of batteries. I tend to, every time I have a free space, I put a battery into it. Now the downside to this is taking a lot longer than I was expecting. There we go. The downside to that is the batteries are heavy, so it will in some cases dramatically, especially if you're like me and put batteries into every conceivable space. So I'm also turning off the hidden. So I'm going to go out, come back in. Even though they mostly fix that, it does update. Because I want to make sure that I have indeed selected all of the batteries. So in the process of all of this, I'm going to go ahead and delete all of the extra battery groups. And we just are going to keep the batteries. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and delete that group as well, and then we'll recreate that group. So we're going to breeze through an awful lot of stuff. Airtight hangar doors, which are all the doors on the side, the assemblers, the build and repair systems, which there are a whole lot of. So we do not have any standard batteries. They're all Kenti batteries, which was expected. The upgrade cubes. Gas generator, and here we go with batteries. And we do have a bunch of batteries, including a bunch that are simultaneous named. All the way down. Okay, so that looks like the last of the batteries, which will create the group named batteries save. We will on and then off on the toolbar, and then off on the terminal, which will take a moment. With the dramatic pause as the game decides what it's going to do. There we go. So we have now one group called the batteries. I do still have all 3 groups here. And you know what, now that this is here, so I have added, I've added members to these, but I did not change this group. So that hopefully has corrected that that particular issue. I told you about the cargo receiver. So there is a mechanism which I've talked about in other videos, the cargo teleporter. So this is the cargo teleporter that will receive ore from the miner. This one will receive ore from the satellite relay. So that's 2 other things. So each of the bays in this case can open independently, but I did have an all bays and then a port side and a starboard side bays. So I gave myself some flexibility there, and that was intentional. It does add a bit more, 3 more groups onto the list, but all right. So let me turn off the hidden. We'll scroll down our groups once again. So we have thrusters that we need to go ahead and put into the thruster group, which is here. So save. off on the toolbar, off on the terminal. Scroll down once again, so we have all of our missile turrets, which ultimately is where we had intended to be already. So we are so we turn them off on the toolbar. We do not want them on the toolbar. We turn off the idle movement because idle movement is just CPU time. Anti-missile, so obviously we do want to target missiles. We're turning off large ships, we're turning off stations, and we're turning off neutrals. Neutrals always off for everything because you don't want to shoot your allies. Anybody who is not an enemy is inherently a neutral. So unless you want to create an enemy out of your allies, then you want to have neutrals off. So why that is a default setting. So yeah, I'm just going to default kill my allies. Great idea. So in this case, large blocks. Anti-missile turrets, it is a 20 millimeter round, but it really doesn't do a whole lot against large blocks or heavy blocks. So really not designed for dealing with large blocks. So large ships out, large stations obviously are built out of large blocks, so that's out. So idle movement is off. Obviously we want it to target missiles. That's the whole purpose of this turret, and everything there. So scroll up, we are looking for the anti-missile group, and then we'll add these guys in there and then off on the terminal. Alright, we should be down to our antenna and then our LCD panel there on the bridge, which appears to be doing something. Don't know quite what yet. Alright, so jump out of here. This is a total OCD thing, so forgive me here. Okay, sorry about that. Turn the mic off rather than cough into the mic. Alright, so we're going to do a save, quick save. We're going to do a save into the blueprint, and then I'm going to do something that's really strange here, but it will all make sense. And let me describe for you what it's doing so you can see it for yourself. So we have all these different turrets on the back here that I've just put on, that as I've worked with them, I turn off the auto rotate, the idle rotate functions. But when you turn those off, they stay right where they were. So this is me being OCD. So I'm going to delete and then in fact paste it back into the world. And I'm not sure why it won't paste. There we go. I'm not sure why it wouldn't paste over here. That was really strange. Because of this. So the reason for this is now I can see correctly the orientation of all the weapons, which was exactly what I wanted to do. Okay, so we're going to refuel here. Oh, I just realized I have no tiger stripe going across the front. There's one on the bottom. Oh, there isn't one on the bottom. I'm wrong. So we must remedy this. Alright, so there's the stripe. Which means really we could change this and then change this. Ultimately that one needs to go away, this one, and then we'll get back over to number 1 and put that there. Okay, so we changed our tiger stripey just a little bit. And if I really wanted to make this look symmetrical, let me go ahead and take that out. Put that back. There we go. Now we have a large symmetrical tiger stripey. I suppose we could really just continue on. Carry that tiger stripe all the way to the front. Not a bad idea. Okay, now one of the things that I like to do, and this is totally a me thing, is put an external cockpit. So in this case, to pilot this vessel, I have to get into the bridge and then climb into the pilot's seat and off we go. If I had a cockpit out here somewhere, then I would actually be able to reasonably pilot the ship from some external point. And still be thinking there's not going to be anyone out here to do that, so I will have to do it somewhere on the ship. I tend to kind of go as forward as possible, and always because Navy, I put it on the port side. Now we could do it centerline. Nothing wrong with that either. Easy to find, I guess, being centerline. Yeah, so why not? Okay, G, we're going to find cockpit. This is the only large ship cockpit. So if I go centerline here, and then turn this over, and we want to go back to Tiger Orange, then we put that right there. So that's what this looks like. Now, if we wanted to get creative, then we could actually use, what's this? No, we actually want these. Which would then give us a little bit of visibility out front here. Those are not exactly what I had in mind, but not quite as much visibility. Let's look here. Yeah, so not quite as much visibility as I would like. This is not the main cockpit. Which means I'm not going to be able to pilot the ship from here anyway. Alright, so much for that idea. Not going to work as planned. Great idea, but not gonna work. Alright. So I guess at this point, let's do another quick save. We'll do another save into the folder here, blueprints folder, and then let us go ahead, and I'm gonna cheat because I can, and get into the bridge. Step into the pilot seat, which is a T. We're going to go ahead and do a V so we can actually see a little bit here. Wow. Okay, so this actually does move incredibly well forward. Sideways, not so much. There's down and up. We actually move pretty well. So let's go back in here. Visibility kind of sucks, doesn't it? If we really consider. Alright, so just for fun, I don't think there's anything out in front of me here. Actually, I guess we test the gyro control. So there's gyro. Gyro is actually very effective as far as movement of the vessel goes. So that's a good thing. We're gonna do a test to see how long it takes to get up. In this case, I've got a 200 meter per second limit set. If you go over 200 meters per second, your gyros are going to do really strange things. So I set the limit. I used to have limits way up, but when they changed the gyro locks and all that sort of thing, then a lot of really crazy, stupid things happen when you get above 200. You know, exactly 200 or slightly below 200, no biggie. But once you exceeded that 200 threshold, then especially with small ships, you have a lot of very strange things. So I finally changed that setting to be 200. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to count things off. We're going to see how many seconds it takes to get up to 200. Now, keeping in mind, if we take a glance over here at the bottom of the HUD, so the bottom right-hand corner of the HUD, you see the kilogram weight. Now, this is the weight of the vessel, which is 53,268,580 kilograms, which is pretty darn heavy. So, having said that, we'll do the timer here and see where we're at. So I'm finger poised on the W button, and here we go. So 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. So effectively, in 5 seconds, we are at full speed. Obviously, we will take a slight amount less. Orbit back around here so we can get back to approximately where we were. Alright, so we'll do the same test again. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005. So we are at full speed and letting off. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007. 1008. Almost 9. So given the amount of forward thrust we have versus the amount of stopping thrust we have, now these are a little bit ill-proportioned. And what I mean by that is you have control of, I believe it's 70% of your thruster capability. So when you are actually manually firing thrusters, no matter which direction you're going, you have up to 70% of the thruster capability to do whatever you want to do. The inertial dampeners can use up to 100%, which means when they go to inertial dampening mode, an automatic mode, they can use 100% of that thruster capability. So 100% of the Newton thrust force can be applied, whereas when you are controlling them, you can't. You only get the 70%. So even though we have a disproportionality in thruster capability, you see we're not twice or directly proportional in the amount of time that we are slowing down versus the thrusters. So overall, I'm actually very happy with the performance of the vessel here. I think. So let me climb out here a little bit of a ways away. Back off just a tiny little bit. So overall, I am happy with what we have. Let me do a save. We'll do one more save into the blueprints folder. Uh, I think we're done. We have a certain amount of stuff that we could do in the back. We have that whole wide open space back there. We have plenty of anti-missile defense on the top. We have a much more limited anti-missile and anti-fighter defense on the bottom. I need to move cameras, which is something that now that I have these pods both forward and aft, then that does need to happen. So the downside to that is that those are mapped on the gunnery chairs. So I'm going to have to, when I change those, I'll have to remap those, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I think the battleship, I'm calling it the Battleship Leopard. Don't know if that's an appropriate name. Obviously, a leopard is a little bit smaller of a cat than a tiger. This is a very large battleship, so probably Battleship Tiger would be more appropriate, if not something like Battleship Smilodon. For those of you who are not aware, Smilodon were the largest of the cats to ever roam the planet, at least that we know about. My favorite is Smilodon fatalis, which was actually the second largest. The Smilodon populator was the largest, but it had a different form. So I always thought Smilodon fatalis looked a bit more cat-like in body. So anyway, there you go, the paleontology lesson for the day. So I need to get ready to go to work. So for once, this is going to be a stream that is shorter than the intended amount of time. So this is Kenty Tiger signing off. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next time.